Project Stardust is a game on Roblox where you play spaceships from various universes like Star Wars and Halo. The game features team-based combat and an XP progression system where you can earn your way through tech trees. A major update dropped about 2 weeks ago from the recording of this video, which featured the release of two major new factions, the Expanse and Mass Effect. I recently have been grinding the Mass Effect tree, and I decided to make this video with my opinion on the grind. Today's feature is Sovereign, a premium tier 5 dreadnought from the Reaper faction. We'll start off with analyzing the grind, and then move on to comparing the ship with other ships like it, and then lastly we'll finish off with one run in the ship. Sovereign requires 6 million XP on the Destiny Ascension, 2 million XP on the Normandy SR1, and then 400,000 XP on the Berlin, plus a 1,500 gold. Keep in mind that you will also need a 1,000 gold for the SR1 as well. There isn't much to say about the lower tier ships, as the grinds tend to be pretty small. In the case of Mass Effect, you can actually unlock all the tier 4s in about one day with enough skill. For low tier servers, the Alamo is a below average ship. It doesn't do a lot of damage and it is pretty weak. It is, though, maneuverable. There's not much I can say about this. The grind is only 50,000 or so. It used to be 115,000, so it actually got lowered, which I think was a good plus. The Berlin is a major improvement from the Alamo. It boasts high damage over longer ranges. It may not be super tanky or fast, but it makes up for that in damage. It also has reasonably good point defense. You must go 3 ways with the Berlin, first to the York, then the SR1, then straight to Sovereign. Personally, I went through the York as it was the more difficult part of the grind. You will also accumulate a lot of free XP in all tier or tier 5 servers, which you then can bring down to the Berlin later, which will make things easier. The York is almost identical to the Berlin, but a tier 3 and with the fighter complement. The same gameplay from before still works. Good range, good damage, good point defense, but average health and maneuverability. Your fighters are great at intercepting, they're fast, really fast, and equipped with missiles and guns for any situation. But because you only have a couple of them, I would either keep them for defense or use them to attack pesky frigates who you can't hit with your main armament. 2.4 million with the York seems like a lot, but is actually quite reasonable considering the amount of damage the York can dish out. The Kaibin is where things get tricky. 8.4 million with this ship is not fun. The ship is very large, very strong, but very weak when it comes to damage. Being the size you are a very juicy target full of XP for the enemy. This makes it very difficult to grind without escort. Range on the Kaibin is also very bad, with its maximum range being about 42.5 kilometers, but its effective range being between 35 and 40. It does not have any fighters, but comes with great point defense. It's speedy for its class, but tends to get stuck in most close quarters maps. My biggest advice for this ship is setting a goal for how much damage you should earn in a run. If you earn more, use boosters. If you earn less, swap servers. Therefore, you spend more time playing and less time dying. I've heard a lot of people complain about the Destiny Ascension, but honestly, it could be worse. My biggest complaint is that it still feels like a tier 4. I don't think I'd ever use this ship above using Sovereign. But besides that, it's practically the same as the Kaibin, just with more guns, more missiles, and a stronger shield. 6 million actually is not too bad with this ship, in my opinion. The SR1 is a tier 3 and a premium. It's a stealth ship and extremely quick. Besides its missiles, however, it doesn't do a lot of damage. Its stealth is mediocre, and it doesn't make you invisible. But its greatest advantage is its size. Dodging projectiles is easy, and when fighters and missiles get problematic, your stealth is always waiting for you. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes pretty fun. In fact, you can even try playing this in all tier. Because you do so little damage, you can pretty much fly under the radar. 2 million is pretty reasonable with this ship. Now let's compare Sovereign to other ships like it. I would say Sovereign mainly acts as a brawler, so I picked a list of ships with similar roles. Not every brawler is on this list, and of course, specs are subject to change with the game. But all the stats in here were taken from the Project Stardust wiki. Sovereign is 5th, compared with other ships when it comes to DPS against health. Sovereign is 6th when it comes to dealing damage against shields. Sovereign is 6th again in max health. Sovereign is 1st in shield points. Not included on here is Sovereign's shield tolerance at 200,000, so it's even better than it is on this list. Sovereign is 2nd in max speed. Sovereign is 1st in maneuverability. Sovereign is 4th in total fighter HP. Sovereign is 1st in total intercept DPS. At the time of making this video, the wiki did not have intercept stats for the Vindication. The biggest problem with Sovereign, however, is its range. Most Tier 5 brawlers have an average range of about 40 kilometers. The max range on Sovereign is the Reaper Thanix at 37 kilometers. Then the minor Reaper Thanix at 35. And then finally, the Reaper main gun only hits at a whopping 30. Even with its above average speed, other brawlers will still be able to fire on you before you can fire back. Long-range battleships are even worse for Sovereign. Despite your great shields, you are a giant beacon for the enemy team, being a giant squid, so I would definitely advise against using Sovereign on long-range maps. Sovereign's fighters are very effective in defense, which is probably one of its most important features. You can defend yourself from most incursions, but an overwhelming assault from a carrier fleet will eventually knock it out. An overlooked plus to Sovereign is its beam weapons. Because all its weapons are sustained beams, damaging small, faster targets is easier as your weapons are easy to aim and hit. Lastly, Sovereign is indeed a premium ship, meaning you will earn extra free XP and credits, which is helpful when you're grinding other Mass Effect ships. When I first tried out Sovereign, my opinion on should you grind for it was a no. I was disappointed in its range and DPS, but the more I've been playing with it, the more I want to recommend it. Its shields and maneuverability is a trait I've come to appreciate more and more, and even with a ship like the Compeller with better damage and range, it can't survive nearly as long as Sovereign. It will definitely be hard getting the gold for newer players at first, but it is a great overall addition to any fleet if you can get it. Plus, the Reaper Horn is very fun. We are now at the title screen. We are going to be playing with Sovereign a bit, so that'll be some fun. What map? Well, High Point and First Battle Pluto are, I'd say, longer range maps. I think we'll try Requiem here. Requiem has a lot of cover, so it'll be hard to maneuver our ship to get the most amount of damage we can with the enemy. But I think we will be able to get around these obstacles. See what I did there? Okay. Make sure my auto aim's on. He's not quite yet in range. This is obviously one of the problems of Sovereign range. I would say 30. If you're below 40, you're pretty close range already. So I think if you're fighting a Sovereign, just keep out of that 40k range, and you'll be fine. It doesn't have any missiles, so that is range is super important. But its maneuverability is great. It's like a Compeller, less damage, less range, but with great maneuverability and range. Okay, see, look, wiped out. I'm already doing great for the 5 minutes I've joined. Okay, Lucre Hulk right here. I mean, not much I could say. It's a carrier, right? I don't really need my fighters because we'll hopefully kill it before that becomes problematic. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say, on the DPS charts, where it said total DPS, that was including missiles and fighters. So I just want to keep that in mind for every ship. That was assuming that all your fighters were attacking. So. Okay, I'm a bit stuck here. Another problem with the Sovereign I didn't really explain is that it can't really broadside. Oh, and there's this guy stuck in me. That's why I use the fighters. Yeah, but the ship can't really broadside, which is kind of sad, assuming it's speed and maneuverability. But I guess a spinning brawler. Well, I mean, by the time you engage targets, you're going to be so close anyway, so I don't really think it matters. Yeah, this map is really, really tight. I'm probably going to die the closer I get to their spawn. But it doesn't look like these guys are spawning anything really challenging. Okay, what is this guy in? Oh, he's in a bunker hill, so. Yeah, all Halo ships are pretty weak, but, you know, after a while, you take their amazing damage for granted. They actually do quite a bit of damage. Like the bunker hill, though, I would not play on a map like this, because it's so close. Oh, Mockton. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so close that you can't use any of its range for really, really anything. That's why I personally found that I get the most out of ships when I use them, you know, where their effective range is. Like, I can't use this on long range maps. It's a terrible idea. I would definitely strive to use longer range ships with the 45 and 50k range on those longer maps, like Ballin or what's another good long range map? First Battle of Pluto. Those are like wide open, empty long range maps, longer maps. Of course, the longest map in the game being Bespin really is for carriers, and then maybe snipers. Even stealth ships. I don't really feel like your stealth would last long enough to get to the other spawn. And look at that. I think we won. Three boosters. It's nice. So, I think Eva. I think we could try Eva. I mean, it's a pretty long-range map, in essence, but there's enough cover. I feel like we can protect ourselves. So I think we can get along. Starforge, it's too open. I feel like we would die really quickly. Moon 2, yeah, it's a carry map, and then Reach Atmosphere is... I don't know, I've never really been a big fan of Reach, because I feel like if the other team's playing good ships, you know, especially with Sovereign, they're going to outrange you, because you spawn at that, like, kind of juicy range where the other team can fire all their main weapons at you. At least when we're talking about those longer range battleships with those 45-kilometer range. Okay, we have a Predator here. So the Predator, how do you pronounce it, is going to be able to fire at us before we fire upon it. But yet again, it is a tier 4. Yeah, I feel like comparing Sovereign to a Predator grind, or the, let's say, just Compeller, the amount of XP it would take you... Ooh, he's firing at me. The amount of XP it would take you to get the Destiny Ascension, you could get the Compeller with the Predator with it. So, I thought that was something I consider. I actually have not done the Predator grind, so maybe I'll have to do that. And then I'll have to rate the grinds. Okay, yeah, I mean, see how my team is actually being pretty good here. They're pretty much weakened him. We don't have to do anything about it. But we're still not doing our full potential when it comes to damage. So we have to keep that in mind. Look, my shield's almost down. This is one of the great things about Sovereign. It can actually hide. Compeller is way too large, way too bulky. You can't hide with it. This is kind of like the perfect mix between something like the Vindication, which is small, maneuverable, and can hide, but the Vindication isn't really tanky, so it's not really viable in that battleship sense, but it is this mix between great health and great maneuverability, which is why I've actually come to start recommending this ship, because there's so much more you can do with it, and I feel like gameplay is funner than just spawning and immediately dying. I probably, at this point, should even turn off my other guns, because I'm not going to be able to hit him. And you don't really... The Reaper main gun has a really long reload time compared to the rest of its weapons, so you might as well save it until you know you can actually hit it. And you can turn off your weapon by just clicking the little icon there. Yeah, like I'll turn it off here. I don't really think I can hit it. He's just right out of range of my Reaper Thanix, but I can hit him. Not Reaper Thanix, minor Reaper Thanix. So, but I can hit him with the Reaper Thanix. Yeah, I might charge here at this point simply because, I'm just getting mowed down. I need to actually get some damage on this guy. And here's when you can see some of the actual pluses of the laser weaponry. It's really easy to hit spinning targets, which is just really nice, fun to use, I guess. Chesapeake here. Okay. Yeah, so my team actually is pretty. They're pretty good. We have a good team. Yeah, one thing I didn't realize about these Republic cruisers is that almost all of their weapons can hit 50k range, which is actually kind of nice. I didn't realize that. So these can all be used as longer range battleships. I'm actually anxious to get my hands on this and try it out. Maybe a Liberator, or that would be an interesting video. Different gameplay. Oh, I'm actually being screwed here. And here's a Titan immediately destroying me. Did not even realize it. So, kind of the sad things about Brawler gameplay is that it goes really quickly. I can't give you one meaningful clip like I would in a carrier because I'm just going to die really quickly. But look at that. Nice XP. That's pretty good free XP. I'm not going to lie. Sovereign is worth it. It's tons of fun. Definitely recommend it. But it is going to be a bit more difficult getting that gold and stuff for it, especially as a newer player. If you're experienced and you have a ton of ships in the game, go for it. Go for everything. See ya.